Slow Dating, a play by Adam Szudrich, directed by Aaron Leventman. Cast of characters: Esther, played by Deborah Dennard.
When I saw it pinned on the notice board at the club, I figured it to be some kind of a practical joke. Speed dating for seniors? The only thing that happens quickly at our age is dementia. Now, I'm a happily married woman and hadn't even contemplated attending. But as chance would have it, I found myself passing the event some weeks later. Curiosity got the better of me, so I went in for a little look-see. And it was filled with these women, all primed and plucked and held together by Botox and spandex control pants, sitting cross-legged at little tables with their skirts hitched up just enough to show that their libido wasn't incognito. And these men, oh my God, not one under 80, struggling up from their seats onto their walking sticks and walker frames, squinting so badly from cataracts that they wander off to the wrong table, having conversations they are too deaf to hear, with no memory to remember they've sat with the same woman 3 times. Dear old Bob tells me all about his bladder infection. Harold asks me if my hair is real. And Jim has his dentures in his mouth, rolling them around like he's sucking on gumballs. As the others babble away, I sit there pitying these incredibly sad souls, all just wanting to feel less alone for a moment. And I thought, you know what I would do if I were in charge of this speed dating? I'd run the proceedings just like those restaurant sushi trains. Put the men on a conveyor belt and let the women pick the ones that still smelled fresh. But a bell rings, men move, and I hear the clickety-clackety of Gumball Jim headed in for a second bite. So I grab my handbag and I stand just as this lady sits down. Dark brown eyes, her hair slicked back into a ponytail, a long leg crossed over her knee, gently kicking. She introduces herself as Sarah and says, "Do you believe in being fair?" I nod hesitantly as she stares straight at me with this little half smile and says, "Well, gorgeous, you've had that incredible body your whole life. I think it's only fair I have it for one night." Now, let me tell you, I have never been propositioned. It didn't happen in my day, at least not to me. I held nothing but a man's hand until Albert put a ring on mine, married for 52 years. The only thing a stranger's ever offered me is a seat on the bus. But the next thing I know, Sarah and I are sitting in the back of a taxi. Now, I'm a rational lady. God knows I certainly don't go around picking up strange women. At my age, I barely have the energy to pick up my medication. But before I know it, we're sharing a hip flask, coughing from the home brew, and laughing like 2 naughty school children. I catch the driver smirking at us in the rearview mirror. What on earth am I doing? At the next red light, I'll apologize to Sarah and make a less than dignified exit. But every light is green, intersection after intersection, like some greater force is driving me forward. And as I lean towards the driver's ear to ask him to pull over, Sarah leans toward mine and says, "Don't do anything that makes you uncomfortable. I'm paying the driver for the night. He'll take you home any time you want." Maybe she just wants companionship, to hug, to feel the warmth of another human being, to feel less alone for a moment. That's not cheating, right? I'm merely being a good Samaritan. So I take another sip from the hip flask. We check into this lavish 5-star hotel as Mrs. and Mrs. Bum Smells. The snooty-nosed concierge types in our details and asks how to spell bum smells. And Sarah, with a completely straight face, responds with B-U-M as in backside, hyphen S-M-E-L-L-S as in odors. It's Dutch. My family were in the baked bean business. As the elevator doors close, we burst into hysterics, tears streaming down our cheeks, literally clutching at our bellies. I haven't laughed that hard since. As we settle, the silence leaves only music. I catch her eye in the mirror. She grabs my hand. It's soft. Her thumb rubs my clammy palm. I think she might want more than just companionship. She leads me down this long, plush corridor to our penthouse suite. We pass walls lined with portraits of regal men, their eyes tracking us. What must they be thinking? What on earth am I thinking? I could catch God knows what you read about that kind of thing. I've been seeing Dr. Goldberg for 38 years. What's he going to think when I show up with chlamydia? Sarah extends her arm, letting me into the suite first. Winking, she excuses herself to go freshen up, like I need her any fresher. I move to the balcony, staring out at the city lights and picture Albert sitting at the bay room window. I look at the front door. Escape is closer than the bedroom. I stand there thinking, and then I walk to Sarah. She's by the bed, smiling, and I move towards her, my knees shaking like I'm tiptoeing a tightrope between two skyscrapers. I say, "You know, Sarah, I'm not a lesbian, and I never intended to come to this speed dating business." She steps towards me, wrapping an arm around the small of my back. Her warm breath on my neck as she whispers, "I watched you take the flyer down from the notice board." She takes my hand and she begins to hum. And as this tornado of guilt inside my head begins to lose its breath, I drift. I let go. I let go. I sit alone in the back of the taxi. Every light is red as it crawls through morning peak hour. I squirt Chanel Mademoiselle on my wrists, and rub it on my neck. Albert's favorite perfume. He's sitting by the playroom window, staring, blank-faced. I walk towards him and stand by his side, listening to his heavy breaths. I reach for his hand, unclenching it from the dressing gown I'd ironed a day earlier. I hold his hand in mine and I cry, remembering that day 9 years ago when he was moved into care and he began to slip away from me. How he said, "Visit me, love me, but promise me you'll let me go. You have to let me go."
Blackout. End of play.
See me, feel me, touch me, heal me.
To See and Be Seen by John Mabey, directed by Gina Dropp. Cast of characters: Salome, played by Juliana Liscio, and Rhea, played by Beth Bierman. Rhea and Salome are connected on their smartphones through an app. The sound of a marker scraping on a table.
Am I holding the blue marker?
Bring it closer to the camera. Let me check. Yes?
You don't sound so sure.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. Not blue.
How about this one?
Yeah, that's it. Blue.
Phew. I feel like I'm the sighted one here.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. A joke. It's nice to joke sometimes. Well, I should let you go then.
Is there anything else I can help you with today? Sorry, we're supposed to ask that even if we weren't very helpful.
No, I'm good. And you were helpful. Thank you. Are you okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah. You know.
It's funny, ever since I found this app, I never thought people would actually volunteer. You must have other things you could be doing right now, something more fun than this.
I kind of like it. I mean, why does anyone volunteer?
Guilt, usually. I'm Salome, by the way.
Rhea, she, her, hers.
Same.
I don't think we're supposed to give any personal info on this thing. Maybe first names are okay, and pronouns, and marker color preferences.
Your name, it suits you.
I chose it when I transitioned. It means flowing. Some people say I don't sound like one.
That's an awful thing to tell someone.
Well, it's probably just code. Folks use code to sound polite, or just the opposite.
You sound like one to me.
What does a Rhea sound like?
Full of life. A little anxious. Maybe they always go together. I can't see you, remember? Don't know if you're smiling or sticking out your tongue.
I'm sorry, I forget sometimes.
Yeah, most language is nonverbal. Once I started losing my sight, I realized how quiet everything got in a loud room.
Wow, I mean, I never thought about.
I swear, if you tell me I'm brave, I'm reporting you on this thing.
I'm just imagining.
Well, thanks again. You saved my daughter from having a meltdown today. She's in her blue period, just like Picasso.
Awesome, glad to help.
And what's your face saying right now?
Hmm. Kind of staring off into space, but not like Picasso. Um, it's actually been 32 weeks
Since you've been volunteering?
since I left my house at all, way before the rest of the world joined in.
That's a long time.
That's why I like the virtual. The more I showed the real world, the real me, the less real I felt inside. Sometimes I wonder if I had just started sooner, let everyone get to know me, Rhea, when I was younger. Maybe it's too late now. I lost it.
Lost what?
My chance. When folks look at me now, there's too many ghosts of who they remember and not who they see.
How do you, like,
Lots of delivery. And I talk to a ton of different people on this thing every day.
what about friends and family?
People stop asking after a while, especially when they don't get what you need.
I get it. I think, anyway, I'm unique in my family too. I spend a lot of time educating, re-educating, and it's exhausting.
Or explaining something they saw in the news.
Yes, or assuming I need help with everything when I don't makes it that much harder when I actually do. That's why I like this app, just easier with a stranger.
Salome, what would you say to a stranger who did need help, but wasn't sure what to even ask for?
I guess I'd follow my instincts. I'd care enough to just try. One night, Kara couldn't sleep, and she watched something that I only turned off after I heard the score. You know what kind of movie it is that way. There's always a soundtrack, even in real life. And now she couldn't sleep because she was afraid there'd be something in the darkness hovering above her bed. So I made up this fairy tale. Basically, the spirits are everywhere all the time, and just like people, some are good and some are bad.
Did it help?
Metaphors and allegories are kind of lost on preschoolers, so no, ghostly spirits are still enemy number one. But she does tell me when something doesn't feel right, so there's that.
I used to read them, fairy tales.
Oh, did you want me to tell you the story?
No, of course not. I mean, I guess that would be silly.
There once lived a girl named Kiki who spent her days in the most outer reaches of space, far beyond any visible planet that our telescopes on Earth could see.
Oh, fairy tales aren't set in space.
You want to hear this or not?
I'm sorry.
And Kiki lived there with her space cats in a special colony where she...
Oh, I don't like cats.
Rhea!
I'm sorry. Continue.
Every day before taking their afternoon nap, the cats would go about their daily routine, bathing, hunting for food, bathing, territory rumbles, bathing, and then the pre-nap walkabout. Kiki would join them, but as the only human, there were things Kiki couldn't do. She couldn't fall from great heights and land gracefully on her feet. She couldn't purr, she couldn't run at great speeds, and she also couldn't see everything they did. Cats are notorious for their visual acuity, seeing things that no human possibly could.
Oh, it's freaky when they stare at nothing.
Exactly, at least at nothing we can see. So one night, as Kiki slept in her space cabin, she was awoken by a feeling that something was nearby, watching. So she turned on the light and couldn't see a thing, but still the feeling remained.
Oh, the cats. Kiki, go get the cats.
Yeah, so Kiki went to her best kitty friend and had her investigate. And sure enough, the kitty looked in the same direction as Kiki did before.
I knew it. Kiki isn't crazy.
But the kitty didn't attack it. Instead, She crawled in a ball and took a nap on Kiki's bed.
Oh my good for nothing cats.
No, it was a good thing. Kitty was able to see what she couldn't.
That not all ghosts are bad.
That was the point for my daughter. Everyone's ghosts are different.
Mine all go by a dead name.
Yeah, mine could check expiration dates on food or find blue markers without an app. But it's always been me, no matter what people see when they look at me now.
You make me want to read more fairy tales.
It's what I love about them. The meaning is always fluid, changing.
I should let you go.
I've been keeping you as long as you've been keeping me.
I know. Who knows? Maybe the next time you call for help, we'll be matched up again.
Yeah, who knows?
So, goodbye, Salome.
Goodbye, Rhea. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Blackout. End of play.
That Time That Shannen Doherty Grew a Heart, written by Scott Carter Cooper. The role of Ben will be played by Aaron Leventman and Joe by Brad Howard. A kitchen in a very nice house. On the lower level of the house, a raucous party is taking place. Enter two men, 40s, dressed in hospital gowns and very sturdy boots. Both men carry an open bottle of champagne. Or two.
He's got to keep the good stuff around here somewhere.
Whoever heard of Fred's champagne? Oh well. $1.99.
If you were a bottle of Grey Goose, where would you be?
Warning. Contents have proven corrosive to some forms of plastic.
That's why Grandma always drinks directly from the bottle.
Anything?
Nope. That bitch probably has it locked in a vault with that Chilean placenta face cream he won't shut up about.
I don't know. He's on his health kick now. He's down there right now sipping Perrier.
What?
I know. He's only had one hit of Molly this week. Scary.
Fuck, why even have a party?
He's celebrating his new pills.
Oh, what's he into now?
No. He's finally undetectable.
What?
Yep, let the angels sing.
He's been paused for
Since 1996, yeah, hence the party theme.
Oh.
When did we get nostalgic for the 90s anyway?
I think it happened when Shannen Doherty announced she'd grown a heart. He's really undetectable?
Well, I haven't seen the blood work, but yeah, that's what he says.
Fuck me.
You say that to all the boys.
Now I need a drink. Fuck.
Now, I can't decide if this champagne is bubblegum flavored or if I'm having a mild stroke.
What is this place? There's nothing in the cupboards.
This would be a kitchen, then. That's a refrigerator, and that's an oven. In olden days, men used to force women to spend many hours each day shoving dead animals and carbohydrates into an oven and make them hot. Then we discovered protein shakes and invented kale, and everyone lived happily ever after.
What? Fuck.
Oh, hey, baby, don't sit on the floor. That looks like Italian marble.
But it feels nice.
Girl, you know how Skipper is.
I just need a minute.
Okay. Oh, I should really try chilling my... Never mind. Another time. I just hope I don't leave any skid marks. Why the hell are we even wearing these things anyway?
You said the theme was naughty 90s. What's more 90s than hospital gowns?
I was thinking more like bowl cuts and sleeveless flannel shirts.
He's really undetectable?
Yeah. Hey, but if it makes you feel any better, with all the drinking and drugs he's done in the past 20 years, his liver will probably fall out in like a week. Hashtag life goals, as the cool kids say.
Great.
Oh, come on, Benny, focus. I have to talk to you about something important.
What?
I've just been waiting for the right moment to tell you. I know you're having a moment, but
Oh, God.
Ben, I don't know. This is so hard.
Just say it.
Okay, Ben, I see what's happening to you, and okay, I know it's not a death sentence anymore. They have treatments. I mean, look at Skipper. Anyway, you should know. I think this hospital gown makes my own ass look just as big.
What?
I mean, no one has said a word about it all night. I don't even think anyone's even looked at it.
But Skipper just...
Girl, Skipper, from everything from his eyebrows to his wiener has been cool sculpted to the bone. We should look into that.
Joe, no one is looking at your ass because every single goddamn mammal in North America has already seen your ass.
Yeah, but there's that pilot from Air Swiss.
Mike is from Toledo.
Oh. Well then, that makes sense. All better. Come on, let's go back to the party. But seriously, girl, when was the last time you hit the gym?
He's really undetectable.
Yeah?
And you?
Still negative.
How is that even possible? I mean, your ass has been pricked more times than grandma's pincushion.
You know how I love a nice needle dick.
I always thought Skipper gave it to him, you know?
Girl, please. This Skipper never gave nobody nothing.
Why, I haven't...
Don't. I mean this, don't. None of us understand how or why we got passed over. Hey, this isn't some sort of anniversary or something, is it?
No. I don't think so. I don't know.
How long has it been?
I don't know. I don't know. Did I tell you I've been thinking about moving?
Hey, let's move to Brazil. No one down there's seen my ass. You've been in that apartment for, God, how long?
Ricky and I moved in there in 1993. He died 4 years later.
So he died in 1997. You know, which means you've lived there, Carrie the, fuck, I can't count when I'm drunk. He's been gone a very long time.
I've been going through things, you know, getting rid of shit for the move, and I found this ratty old shirt, just a random iSpot polo. It took me a good 5 minutes to remember that it was Ricky's.
Girl, it's okay. You're not a hoarder.
No, I'm forgetting him, Joey.
No.
Yes, and the last guy I had sex with, I actually called the next day and asked him out for coffee without Ricky even, you know.
Ooh.
Right?
Well, baby, it's been a long time.
But
nothing. I look at it like this. I'm still young, and you still look young in that Lucille Ball and Mame sort of way.
Forget your contacts again.
Just the right one. But if I look at you through my left eye, you're fine. Like I used Ryan Reynolds before they threw acid in his face so he could play Deadpool. Baby, Ricky would want you to live your life.
What does that even mean? But he wouldn't, you know? That's the thing. He told me that when he died, he'd hoped I'd put on 40 pounds, wear cotton poly plaid button-downs, and date John Travolta.
Benny, and I say this with pure love in my heart, Ricky was a bitch.
Well,
Sweet 98% of the time, so sweet, but that other 3%, he was just blistering evil. You know it's true. I loved him like a Donald Trump butt plug, but he's gone, girl.
I know, but...
It's been 20... Fuck. It's been a long time. Way too long.
You don't understand.
I don't understand. what it's like to ache for someone you can never, ever have? You were saying that to me.
Yes.
Well, you're right. I've had everybody I ever wanted, and a couple of them twice.
Bitch.
Oh, come on, lighten up. Tell me about your new man. What's his name?
Ronaldo.
Oh, a Latin lover.
And he's 27 for fuck's sake, and he works construction.
Girl, fetch Aunt Pity her smelling salts. Only like you those swarthy mans of that age. Broke in all the right places and still teachable. The best part, if you get them drunk enough and the lighting is just right, they'll still believe you when you tell them they have to be gentle because it's your first time.
It's so stupid.
No, baby. Someone has to tell you. You're getting older.
What?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean older. You're getting old. And you just don't have any more time for this self-indulgent bullshit. Ricky got sick. Ricky died, just like hundreds of our friends and thousands of people around the world. He was young. In certain lights, he was beautiful. And he had a monster cock. I've been told. The point is, you loved him, and he died. Your love didn't save him. Nobody's love saved anybody. It never does. We all love the best we can. The best we can ever hope for is that when they bring up the lights for last call, they're not fluorescent. You have to stop punishing yourself, baby. Please. Take what's left of your life and enjoy it. Or at least enjoy Ronaldo. Do it for the children.
But I'm forgetting him.
No, baby. You've absorbed him, like Skipper's Chilean placenta face cream, but without the rash. He's a part of you, baby, like your big toe. I've seen your feet. You never think about your big toe, do you?
No.
Well, even though you never clip your toenails, much less have a decent pedicure, without your big toe, you couldn't stand tall, so you could suck in that paunch and land yourself a Ronaldo. Ricky is a fungus-encrusted toe. He's helping you stand tall.
Joey?
Benny?
You are so full of shit. I love you.
What?
I need a drink.
There's some wine coolers downstairs.
God, the 90s sucked.
Ben gets up from the floor and exits. Joe's about to do the same when he spots something on the floor. He pours a little of the champagne on the spot and wipes it away with the hem of his gown. Before he too exits, the lights go to black. End of play.
Thank you, everyone. We would like to do our now official Almost Adults curtain call and thank our fabulous actors who joined us today for this performance, and that includes Deborah Dennard, Beth Bierman, Juliana Liscio, myself, and Brad Howard. And to thank our amazing directors, Cedric Hill, myself again, and Gina Dropp. I especially wanted to thank everyone that was involved in the performance, showing up for rehearsal this particular week with everything that was going on in the world. They surely proved that the show must go on. So thank you all for your participation during this point in time. And we do have a lot to celebrate, as I mentioned, in the world. And I'm also celebrating today my partner's birthday, Philip Retzky, who's with us today. One thing that theater widows have to do is put up with their partners having to celebrate their birthdays by going to an online performance. But I hope it was a good one and that you enjoyed it, Philip, from the next room. Happy birthday. And with that, let's start the Q&A portion of the program today. So we have one of our playwrights who's joining us from the other side of the world in Australia, Adam Szudrich. Adam, we're so looking forward to seeing you. Hey there.
How you doing?
Good. It's tomorrow, right?
It is tomorrow.
It's
Welcome
tomorrow morning for you. Well, thank you for taking time off your work schedule to join us. I'm just going to read you a little bit about your background. You are a Barty Award-winning writer, and you can tell us what that means. Your works have been performed also off-Broadway, off West End, and off in the middle of nowhere, like most of us have. His plays have been selected for 89 international festivals, and he's received 40 awards. His play Rosie and Leo recently won the International Play Festival of 10-Minute Plays. This year, a night of his plays were staged with 2 weeks in Manila and reviewed as a detectable morsel of theater. I like that description. Adam, thank you again. And tell us a little bit about where this character of Esther comes from in you. And I want to talk also a little bit about monologues in general and about writing them and how to incorporate them into longer works, but also where did she come from? Is this a character that you've worked with before in other of your works?
No. Great question. And first of all, thank you. That was incredible. I really enjoyed that. Brilliant directing. Yeah. Thanks to Deborah, and all the plays were fantastic. So, great. And happy anniversary, Philip, or birthday, Philip, while I'm at it. So I was actually in a festival watching plays. One of mine happened to be on, and I was just sitting there thinking every play is just these younger couples falling in love or having problems in relationships, and there was just no elderly actresses at all. And if there were, they were kind of like, I don't know, stereotype sort of characters. So I just thought, literally, while I was watching these plays, I wonder what would happen if an old lady went speed dating. And as I left the theater, she just started speaking to me. So I was like madly taking notes, and then I got on the bus, and the bus trip seemed like 3 minutes, even though it was like half an hour. And by the time I got home, I pretty much had the whole story. It was just one of those weird magic moments that happen. You just try and keep up with her and follow her. So that's where it came from. No one that I know, no thought that went into it. It just popped into my head.
Well, and I think I like that you addressed that you're dealing with, older characters dealing with romance and the things that they go through. But I just was going to mention, I was talking to Deborah, who I'm going to bring up in a minute, at our rehearsal a few days ago. And I had just seen this interview with Frances McDormand, the actress, on a documentary about Mary Louise Wilson. And she was saying that, monologues are this amazing opportunity for the audience to experience a pivotal moment in the character's life. Do you feel that this was a pivotal moment in Esther's life that she's recalling, even though you don't specify who she's talking to? It's clear that she's revealing something extraordinary to us. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. I think she's had an interesting life, and I think she's been through a lot in her life, and especially in the last few years. But I think this particular night is a pivotal moment for her, and I think she's probably held it inside her. And people often ask me, like, who is she speaking to? And I don't know. It's an interesting question, because she spoke to me, and maybe it's to a friend, maybe it's to a counselor, but she's finally letting go of something that she's held inside. And in many ways, she's free, but she's still struggling with it as well.
And I know this play has been done at a lot of different festivals. One that I was particularly familiar with in San Francisco, the Left Coast?
Yeah,
Festival. Yeah, they're an amazing LGBTQ primarily festival of short plays, and they have writing workshops. And do you have? I know that we're in this, kind of strange time. I'm sort of curious what's happening in Australia right now. Yeah. Are there Zoom performances like we're, experiencing here in the US?
We're so lucky here. I think that partly because we have a decent government that cares about us. That when it comes to COVID, we've got very few cases. So. Things are coming back to life. I actually had a play performed a few months ago in the height of COVID. So it is happening here. So it's heartbreaking to see what's happening to you guys over there, but hopefully there's a big change coming. So we're all really happy, or at least the majority of happy over here about it. And it's been amazing to make friends with all these really elderly actresses around the world. That's been the most beautiful part. I've got all these pen pals now in different countries. And a lot of them just have been like, I've been waiting for a part, and, you know, finally they get their part and they get to invite all their old friends that haven't seen them act for a while. And it's been really beautiful to bring a different type of story to the stage that you don't really see that often, but it does happen. I think we need to see more of these kind of things.
I would totally agree. I think, you know, it's amazing how few really good parts there are for any female characters, but particularly for women of a, you know, past a certain age. And so I think that's partly why you have a following, because you're providing this.
I only just started writing male characters, actually. I only wrote female, just so much more interesting and more complex than us men, I think, anyway. And there's a theatre near me where I sort of test out my new work back in the days when we used to have audiences, and I love getting on stage afterwards. I hated the part where I have to do the talk back, because that's always, you know, it's always a struggle for some of us writers. But when I got on stage and like, you're a man and you wrote this, that's always like a nice feeling when someone says that. So, but then I would stand on stage and I'd be next to all these white men. You know, I'm like, why isn't there diversity on this stage? Why aren't there other voices on this stage? Why do I have to write about elderly women? And look, it's changing slowly. You guys are doing amazing work. They were incredible plays that I saw there. So congratulations on that. It just needs to fast forward a bit. Yeah, exactly. I think that, you know, I always, you know, when I think about, you know, LGBTQ theater, you know, something that I've been working in, what I think is interesting is, you know, there's no like equivalent to like Boys in the Band is like a great, you know, play about gay life that's groundbreaking. We don't have a female equivalent to that really in the same way. We have some that come close, but we don't really have anything that's in that same arena. And I do think it's changing. There is a lot of, I've noticed, like, you know, I don't follow Broadway as closely as I'd like to, but there is a lot of, you know, more diversity happening, I think, particularly, you know, female playwrights of color. We're having our first, you know, female African-American VP. So hopefully things are going to change in this country. And when you said we have a government that doesn't care about us, I'm really hoping that is about to change. So it's a lot of hope in the air right now. So I'm glad that we're doing this program on the eve of that. Perfect timing. Yeah. So. Deborah, I would love to hear from you about, you know, you gave so much to this character, and I'd love to hear about your experience working on this in our brief rehearsal.
Well, what you just said is so true. There are so few parts for women of a certain age. I'll shy away from the word elderly.
Right. Sorry. the E word, yeah.
I did point out that it wasn't the age Esther was supposed to be.
Yes, you did point that out to me, yes.
I really felt connected to her because she was so complex. Usually, for the last 10 years, I mostly just end up playing character parts, the crazy next door neighbor. That's sort of a thing. So it was just wonderful to have something that was so complex and so meaty and on so many different levels of who she's talking to, how she's revealing herself. And I think more than anything, she's revealing herself to herself. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes perfect. And that, you know, monologues can very much be, they can also be, you know, an interior monologue, right? That you're addressing something to yourself. And this could, you know, Adam has left it open so that you can interpret it however it works for you as an actor. And I know we talked about some possibilities when we were working on it. So, okay, well, Adam, I know you have to get back to work. So I just wanted to thank you so much for joining us from such a distance. And we hope to see more of your plays virtually, and then for those that are overseas, live. But hopefully your plays will be done in the States too, so, or continue.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Hoping you will have a fantastic new future under the new government there. We're all really excited over here as well.
Yes. I'm feeling good about it.
Thank you, Deborah. That was incredible. Thank you for the direction. That was incredible as well.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
I'm going to bring up our next playwright, John, and I want to make sure that I pronounce your last name because I feel like I'm not. Is it Mabey or Maybe?
It's John Mabey.
It is Maybe, so I said it right. Okay, excellent.
Perfect.
John is a writer, storyteller whose plays have been produced and published across the United States and Europe. His work as a playwright is connected to his career in psychology and certification as a mental health counselor. He is also a published author on the topics of sexual identity and spirituality in academic books. His short and full length plays have won awards, including Remembered, B is for Bullshit. I love that title.
Thank
and
you.
so I'm really excited to bring you to our Q&A today to talk a little bit about your play. Now, can you talk a little bit about the app that this play is about, or how it came into your life and how you've worked with it?
Yeah, thank you.
How you know about it? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think the performers in this play and the direction was so wonderful. It was a really amazing evening of theater for all of the plays. So thank you, Aaron. Yeah, so this app specifically called Be My Eyes is an app that connects people who are visually impaired with people who are sighted and can offer help in any possible way. And what's so wonderful is you can volunteer on this app just from your own phone anywhere you are, and you're matched up sort of by time zones. So you could be matched up with anyone anywhere in the world that sort of corresponds with where you are. And it could just be very simple things. Like in this case, it was, what's the color of this marker? Or I'm at the market. Is this the chocolate milk or the regular milk?
Wow.
Very, very simple things.
And you know, the topic of that, let me ask you, when did you write this play?
I wrote this play really at the start of the pandemic this year.
Yeah, so it's very much about the future, the immediate future, which is how that we're having to communicate and find resources and human connection during this period of time. So it's a very topical play, but I think it's a play that when we're out of this, you know, pandemic and this quarantine is going to continue to be very relevant, because all of us are searching for connection. And in the virtual world, you know, we are already starting that sort of trend that we're at now, where we have to be, you know, quarantined, which is that this is how we're communicating now as humans. And is that a good or bad thing? And is this really fulfilling our needs as humans? And, you know, Rhea has this line in the play that's very interesting, where she says, I've been in this situation long before, or the world has caught up to me, and I'm paraphrasing very badly. But I was curious if you could talk about that line, because I don't know if Gina worked, I'm going to bring her up in a minute, but, you know, talk about what that meant for you in terms of this character and what her isolation was previous to COVID.
Yeah, thank you. It's, I think right now we're all sort of in this shared experience of isolating and distancing and being at home in various capacities and to various degrees. And that's something we all have in common. And I think for some people, for whatever reason, you might have been doing that for an even longer period, for anything from a sense of needing to protect yourself, or health-wise not being able to leave the house for some reason. And so now that sort of we're all doing that together, it's become a shared experience. But some people, it's been going on much, much longer. And I think also for some, there might be a sense of fear of returning and engaging with the world again, even once it's safe to return to being in large groups of people outside. And so it's something that's a shared experience, but also very personal.
Absolutely. And I've always found, I mean, I think we're at a point in time where sometimes these random connections that we have with people now, you know, with essential workers or whatnot, are becoming some of the most intimate ones in our lives currently. These random acts of kindness that we're hopefully experiencing are suddenly, you know, or what keeping us alive, you know, emotionally.
Absolutely. And also,
Yeah.
I think what you said before was really wonderful about how it's sometimes technology can be something that's not so positive. And what I loved was this is an example of how technology, like it's the good aspects, the good side of technology.
Well, and where would we be without Zoom during this period of time, or any of the platforms that people are using? We wouldn't be doing the series, for one thing. But so, yeah, I didn't mean to imply that technology is a bad thing. It certainly isn't. It's just changing how we interact, and we have to figure out ways to use it in ways that are fulfilling us, right? So, well, great. I'm going to bring up Gina Dropp, who is a director that's joining us from Atlanta. And Gina, it's really great to have you. And I'm going to actually divert the conversation after we're done and ask you about the theater company that you work for, because you're doing a lot of interesting things as well virtually. What was your reaction to this play when I sent it to you?
I loved it right away, and I thought that something was really important about it, and that was the pureness of the connection between Rhea and Salome. I thought that one of the first things I said at our first rehearsal is we have to find the conflict in this piece, right? Because what is the most entertaining parts of theater is where we find conflict, except for that this piece doesn't have antagonistic conflict. It has conflict of need for connection and the need to be seen emotionally. And I thought that that was really beautiful and something important to put into the world of theater right now, was to recognize the ways that we are leaning on new people in these virtual platforms. And I also saw this deepness in Rhea. I think that the line is very funny when Salome says guilt, usually. And you know so clearly that Rhea is not doing it from a place of guilt. It's very, very pure. And I love that there is this mutual caregivership between them. Salome is very clearly a mother and someone who, through the loss of her sight, has gained more sense in her instincts for when other people are in need of comfort. And so they have this mutual caring that's going on that is really important right now, to see that that is capable of happening through these virtual platforms that we're relying so heavily on. So I had a very wonderful time directing this piece. I'm so thankful for the opportunity and to have worked with Beth and Juliana. They were both so wonderful to work with. And thank you so much, John, for writing this, because I think it is very important. And the line, "It's been 32 weeks," actually resonated with me heavily, because I worked in childcare, and I worked for a family who started quarantining very early, and it was important to all of us to protect the children, ourselves, myself being immunocompromised, the mother of that family being immunocompromised. We started our food stock and quarantining at the end of February. And it took a long time at the time I lived in Chicago, and we didn't get a quarantine mandate until almost May. And I didn't go to a grocery store from the end of February until mid-April. So that resonated with me very heavily, wanting to protect myself as an immunocompromised person, but also protecting other people in my community was very important. And I love that this is a story of finding a way to help anyway.
Exactly. I loved what you said, which is a very central part of this play, about, this need and desire to be seen, to be heard, to be recognized, to be validated, at this point in time when it's all very challenging. So it brings up all those issues for us. Juliana and Beth, I'd love to, if you're still on the call, I'd love to hear what you have to say about your characters and what it was like for you working on this. Beth, I see you first. So if you want to jump in there.
First of all, thank you to you, to John, to Gina. What a magnificent experience. To Juliana, thank you for sharing the virtual stage with me. When I read the script, and John, for you, it's like, I don't know how you peered into my head so well. But it was like, you know what? This parallels my experience so very well. What it is to be seen as me. The line where I talk about people seeing who I was and not who I am is very much present in my experience. And so yet another way to be seen for my truth is really all I want. And that is what gives me the most sense of completion, of connection.
Beautifully put. Thank you. When you said, how did he see into your head? Remember that he is a psychotherapist. So Juliana, are you still with us? It looks like you are.
I'm right here.
Hi.
Hi.
Anything you want to contribute to your process?
Yeah, I think I loved the character. I think she definitely had, I liked that she was like a disabled character, but she still had like sarcasm and like wit, and she wasn't just like this helpless like being. And I love that like a big part of the play is her sort of like sensing this need in Rhea for like help, kind of, and they were kind of helping each other. And yeah, I just really loved the play. Thank you so much, John, for writing it, and thank you, Beth and Gina, for working with me. I had a really good time.
Yeah, and thank you. I know you've been involved in our last couple of readings, so we really appreciate your work as well. Great, so we're gonna move on to the final play, but I forgot to do something earlier, which is to announce the plays for 2 weeks from now. The plays on November 22nd will be Old Fucks by Donald Stephen Olson, directed by Cedric Hill. That'll feature Edward Kaimak and Bill Koch. And then we have winner of 7 gold medals by Ken Green, who's in Boston. That'll be directed by Duchess Dell in Santa Fe and feature Andy Baker in Santa Fe and Dylan Feldman in New York City. And then the play Faking Glory by Ali Costa, who is joining us from Los Angeles, directed by myself with Guy Dunphy and Zoe Margulis, Santa Fe actors. Very briefly, Gina, can you talk about the company that you work for? Because you're doing a lot of great work in virtual theater. You got mentioned in Time Out New York, right? Or
yes,
yeah,
thank you so much.
So tell us just very, very quickly before we move on to Scott's play, what you're doing.
Yes, so I'm working with a company founded just in March called Four Walls Theater. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We have a website, fourwallstheater.com. And I am currently the Associate Artistic Director of the theater. Our founder, Alana Gartner, has a long background in theater and social services. And in the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, she immediately kind of was brainstorming, what can we do to combine and give back to both of these communities, this extremely overworked social service community and this horrifying and kind of very startling loss of jobs in theater. She's like, we have to make virtual theater. She brought me on within 2 weeks of starting the company, and we just basically worked backwards. We were like, this is what we want the end product to be. How do we get there? And we were teaching ourselves on the fly. Our first director has been a frequent director or playwright of this program, Andrew Hunter. And we learned how to do it. We learned how to rehearse in the Zoom space, broadcast onto YouTube live. And the cornerstone of our mission is charitable giving. So every show that we do, which everything is new work, unpublished work to get eyes on budding playwrights. And we take those plays, we find directors that are specialized in the work that needs to be done. So we have a focus on hiring people of color and women and LGBTQ plus playwrights and directors and actors that are of color as well. And the topics we are looking for are in, important social topics. So we've done shows on tough family ties, on ageism, on politics, on racism and systemic racism. And we produced 4 shows from May 1st until our last show just closed on Halloween. And every show is paired with a charity that has similar or same intentions of the topic work. And we take 20% of our proceeds made from ticket sales and we donate it directly to that charity. We advertise for that charity throughout the whole process. And then we take the rest of that and we pay our artists and create work for directors and playwrights and actors and technicians. 2 of our shows can be found on our YouTube channel, and you can look at what we're doing in the next year. We just closed our Halloween show that closed. Will be our last show of 2020, but 2021, we're going to continue this work and see which ways we can branch out. And yeah, we've been in Time Out New York, Broadway World multiple times. We've been reviewed for 2 of our shows. So we're really excited about the recognition that we've gotten already in this first year, but it's all about creating this work and giving back. And I think that there's a big place for virtual theater long term, because even when the government or society feels that it's safe to go back and commune together, some communities may never feel safe doing that, and they deserve theater.
Yeah, that's great. So it's Four Walls Theater. I'm going to go to your website immediately after we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gina. And yes.
Thank you.
Great to, John, thank you so much. And Juliana and Beth, we hope to see you again and work with you all again. So keep in touch. With that, we're going to move on to our final play, The Time Shannen Doherty Grew a Heart. Scott Carter Cooper's work has been presented in countries around the globe, including Canada, Ireland, Germany, India, and Japan. Domestically, his work has been seen by audiences with bunch of theaters, but he's also an actor, singer, director, and producer, and worked with such Chicago company as the Lyric Opera of Chicago and Steppenwolf. Scott holds a BFA from Drake University and MA in writing from DePaul University. Scott, it's great to have you here and great to see you. Thank you. It was a fun play to work on. For those that are not familiar with Shannen Doherty, could you please give us a very brief summary as to who she is?
Sure. Shannen Doherty was, or is, a television actress, and in the 90s, the hot show on the CW was Beverly Hills 90210, and she played the sweet young thing. She was in a movie called Heathers, where she played the villain. And Shannen Doherty really made a name for herself by being just very difficult to work with. Both on her first show and her second show, Charmed, she is legendary for being very unpleasant. And then somewhere in the 90s, she signed with an agency that kind of put her on a rehab tour where she talked about her realization of not necessarily being particularly nice, and she was trying to soften up her image. So that's who she is.
Well, the fact that she was difficult to work with, I think it seemed to be the reason why gay men liked her so much, right? Because it made her interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, 90210, I mean, it's had a resurgence, but back in the if you weren't actually alive at that time, it's kind of hard to understand the impact that it had. Luke Perry, I didn't watch it, but all my friends did. You know, Jason Priestley, they were it. They were the it thing, and you really were nobody unless you knew what that show was doing. I was a nobody. I didn't really care, but I was aware of Shannen Doherty.
I guess I'm a nobody too, because I didn't follow her. I knew who she was, though, interestingly enough. So obviously you named this play with her name in the title for a reason. Did you feel that because this play is so much about reflecting on that period of time in the 90s when the AIDS crisis was at its height. Did you name the play because you felt that she was best representing that period of time?
Well, I named the play that because one of the characters is based on a friend of mine who died of AIDS. And he was wildly a big fan of that show, and particularly Shannen Doherty. So as I was writing that particular character, I couldn't get David out of my mind. And so that's my sort of my homage to him.
You know, we've done several plays in this series about the AIDS crisis. And of course, people have been talking about the AIDS crisis a lot now during the pandemic, and they're comparing it to that period of time for people that survived it and what the differences and similarities. Let me ask you, when did you write this play? It wasn't recently, was it, or was it?
No, I wrote it about a year ago, and it stemmed out of a sort of a confluence of events that were sort of random. And I sat down and sort of wrote this play in response to those events that were primarily younger people not fully grasping what the impact of the AIDS epidemic really was like. I lived in Chicago at the time. I was in the heart of the gay community, and I saw firsthand the devastation. And here I am 25 years later, listening to younger people's lives, their perspective of it is something that can be managed with pills. But back in the day, it was a death sentence, and a horrible death sentence. And I wanted to sit down and really kind of think about how that plague has affected gay men in particular who have survived it, and what that impact has been on their lives.
Well, it was interesting you mentioned about young people being somewhat indifferent or carefree, as a lot of us are at that age. And now, there have been reports about the pandemic and about young people not taking the pandemic as seriously, not to generalize, but, so it's interesting to look at that. One of the things for me that resonated was just the complicated friendships that gay men frequently have with each other, where there's this like mix of like connection, friendship, sexuality, and because the fact that they're two men, they have to kind of navigate all those things, and it's complicated. And you're dealing with this relationship that is very complicated for all those reasons. But yet, I just watched the new version of Boys in the Band on Netflix, and one of the things that the film left me with is how strong the connection that these men had with each other, despite their insults and bitchiness and whatever. And I think your play is also about that too. These two characters are survivors because of their connection that they have for each other, and this is really the strength of friendship that comes through. Do you agree with that?
Well, I do. I mean, my feeling is that the LGBTQ plus community would not exist today were it not for the fight that we had to put up in the 90s. And that fight was really born out of the personal relationships that were forged, I hate to say it, but really out of the fear that that relationship would end at any moment because of the plague. A lot of men are naturally competitive, and that's an element that has to be navigated in relationships. A lot of men, when two gay men come together, they do have to, on some level, address the question of sex and how that's going to impact their relationship, or if it is going to at all. So yeah, there was a lot of that going on in my head. Like I said, one of the characters was based on someone I knew at the time. The other character was based on someone that I had just met. And I was very intrigued by his sort of relationship to the crisis of the day.
Right. Interesting. Thank you. I'd like to bring Cedric, our director, up, and then Brad as well. Cedric, are you still with us? There you are.
I am still with you.
Excellent. Tell us what I know you responded very positively to this play when I sent it to you. So what was your connection to it?
Well, I was in New York at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I started doing theater in New York in 88, 89. So I saw the devastation. But, the thing that really drew me to the play was the relationship between these two men. There's this unspoken and spoken love affair that carried them through. It's almost like it carried them through battle, because it was very much a war. And, you know, they both have survivor's remorse. And, you know, and there's a lot of ways where their love is unrequited. And as I thought about it, I said, is it unrequited because one doesn't know, or is it unrequited because they realize that it wouldn't work? So it has to stay at a certain point. But it was a fun flashback, and it was great to see these two men come together in very tongue-in-cheek and very deep emotional.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're freezing up on us. Okay, there you go, you're back.
On my back?
Last thing we heard was deep emotional.
Oh, deep in the emotional context with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Brad, I know that you said that you've had a obsession with Shannen Doherty since the 90s, so you were probably the perfect fit to play this character. What was that interest for you about Shannen Doherty?
I'm drawn towards strong, bitchy women, I guess. I'm not sure.
What I was saying earlier, yeah. You're very dark right now. It's
I am very dark. I don't know why that is.
It's okay.
All my lights are on. Huh.
You look like you're in a very low-budget film that couldn't.
I am, and
okay.
It's starring with Shannen Doherty and Troy Spelling, and
right.
Yeah.
Those were like heroines at that period of time, right? For being known to be difficult. I have not, I've been a little neglectful and haven't opened it up to questions from our viewers. So if anyone would like to ask a question of any of our playwrights, actors, directors, you could do a couple things. Select the raise hand function in the participants list, or if you want to turn your video on and wave your hand, I will see you and call on you. Here comes somebody. Philip. Hello, Philip.
Hi there. I don't know how long I'm going to be online. I'm probably the only person in this room that's under a hurricane watch.
Well, we're certainly not. So yes, I'm sorry to hear that.
I wanted to say that I thought I liked all three plays. They were all very different, but had some really striking themes. And I was really touched by John's play. And John, I've admired your writing for a long time, so this was nice to see this, especially the interaction between these two characters who are don't make it sound like it, but they're really searching for friends. And Scott, I thought this play, Aaron will know that this play skates awfully close to my own personal life. So I was there were some moments in there that it kind of touched me. But I really thought Aaron, you made a wonderful selection of all of these plays. And I thought it was interesting to see the interpretations that you made and the choices that you made in it. And interesting in a good way. I don't, sometimes when someone says, that was interesting, they mean,
you're like, it's a euphemism for something else. Yeah.
No, it's not. This was some very wise choices. And I thought that I especially thought that in both in the monologue, and I guess Aaron's already gone, or Adam's already gone.
Yeah.
But I just thought that monologue it was really poignant. And speaking as an older person who's looking for that kind of stuff. But I just thought it was a very nice production. John, thank you for presenting that point of view, and the same was true with you, Scott. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, there was some very, very powerful moments in it. And I have to say that at one point unfortunately during Adam's, one of the hazards of living in Florida is that I had a palmetto bug skitter across. Hey, you didn't pay to get in here. So anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah, one of the issues when you're watching theater from your own home. But of course, I've experienced cockroaches in theaters I've been to too. So there you go. Thank you, Philip. We hope to see more of your work too. We did Philip's play Last Exit 2 weeks ago. So hopefully next year we'll get to present more of your plays as well. Rose, it looks like you turned your video on. So do you have a question or comment or excellent?
Well, I was really intrigued, of course, with the discussion about monologues for mature women. You might not realize why I was so interested in mature women, but here I am. And Jules Works is coming up next, actually, on virtual theater, and will be in the Teatro Paraguas website, www.teatroparaguas.org. And you'll see me do a couple of monologues. One of them, I'm trying to get into online dating and find out that there's a website, in fact, more than one, for queer ladies. I find this out from a friend of mine. And so I put on a costume that I thought might appeal to queer ladies and get my profile ready to go on that website. So I thought I might mention that in this.
Very apropos. And I'll be watching in part to see your costume.
Yes.
For reasons too. Jules Works is this variety show that Steve and Jules Rubin, who Rose and him were in the very first program that we did for Almost Adults, were in a play together that Rose wrote. And it's a variety show that he's been doing for, I think, like 10 years now or something, because I was in the very, very first one. And now they're moving virtual, and now you have the opportunity for a wider audience, even though we can't all be together during that time. So thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments before we sign off? We're coming to the end of our time here. Well, just to thank you all for being here today. And again, as I said, we'll be back in 2 weeks with the program that I mentioned earlier, and then we'll be taking a little break till next year. But we'll see you in a couple weeks, hopefully. And again, if you have people that want to see the video today, they can watch it on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. So I just wanted to thank again everybody for being here. Thank you for your participation, actors, writers, directors, and we'll see you soon. Be safe, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Care.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.